Hey guys, this is Eunice, and thank you for joining me for the Journey Home podcast. So, today I just wanted to share just some thoughts on the story of Mary and Martha in the Bible. So, I'm going to start in Luke 10, starting at verse 38. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me." "Martha, Martha," the Lord answered, "you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her." Now, as a mom or as a wife or as just anyone who's hosted anything, can you relate to Martha's story? I know I definitely can. There are times that I host dinners at our house or something, or I've hosted a party and I've been so busy with the preparations that by the end of the night I'm exhausted and I'm like, oh, did I even get to talk to anyone who came to my home? And then I feel bad because I'm like, oh man, I was so busy making sure all the drinks were refilled, or I was making sure all the food was hot or something, that I didn't get to spend time with my guests. And that, I think, is probably a relatable feeling that some of you guys might have. But something that I just want to share about is Mary's posture. Now, I am not trying to make Martha look bad or anything like that, because who has not been there in life? But the reality of it is Mary is the one who is commended for just sitting at the Lord's feet and spending time with him. And that is challenging to me. I think there are so many times in my life where I have just been busy, running around, doing my ordinary things, tending to my husband, tending to my kids, or just doing random things, even in ministry, that I haven't had the posture of Mary. And sometimes I forget that I have to just be sitting at the Lord's feet. And why I was thinking and reflecting upon this story today was because I was texting a friend about my new book, Motherhood Minutes. And she said to me, oh, you should feel proud about writing this book. And it was funny because I sat and thought about her words. And the reason why I didn't fully connect with her words was because I don't feel proud that I finished this book, because honestly, it wasn't an idea that I had. It was an idea that the Lord gave me one day when I was in the car, because really I was just busy going about my everyday life. I really haven't had an intention to author a book, like a second book. So my first one is this short ebook I wrote, and I also wrote that out of obedience to the Lord. And my second book, Motherhood Minutes, I wrote also from an idea that the Lord gave me. But where I was really joyful and thankful when I was texting my friend is not so much look what I've accomplished. Something that I was reflecting on is the joy I feel in obeying the Lord. Because in the past, I've realized that there's growth in me. In the past, when the Lord asked me to do something that's more challenging, which I will say, writing this book, it wasn't that it was so challenging, but we definitely had to make some big adjustments in our lives the past months in order for me to write this book. But the thing is in the past, when the Lord would give me an idea like this, my knee-jerk response is usually Lord, no, I can't do that. I'm too busy. That's my knee-jerk response, if I'm honest. Now, I have a lot of excuses. I had 5 kids that I was actually homeschooling. There was a time that we lived overseas. There was a time that we moved across the country here. There was just a lot of busy ministry things that kept a lot of our time. And so in the past, when the Lord would ask me to do stuff, I legitimately had things to do. And even this time, when he asked me, Eunice, write this book. This is what I want you to call it. And then he gave me the download of how he wants me to set it out. honestly, that all came because instead of giving him my usual knee-jerk response, which is, Lord, how could you ask me to write that? Can't you see I'm busy? We're about to move across the country. My third son is in his senior year. I'm still homeschooling my youngest daughter. I'm doing all these things that keep me busy. But this time, when the Lord asked me to write this book, instead of giving him my usual response, I paused and I said, Lord, if this is like an idea from you, show me how you want me to do it. And in that moment, literally, he just gave me the download of how he wanted me to write it and how he wanted Chris and I to structure our time to make space for me to do it. And that's something that I just want to encourage you guys with, is I feel like instead of feeling like honestly so proud of my book, I feel like great joy in my heart that I obeyed the Lord and I didn't do it in a way that's my usual knee-jerk response, which is, Lord, how am I going to do this? And then like my slow obedience. This time it was different. This time it really was a moment of me maturing and showing some growth in my life and saying, Lord, how do you want me to do this? If this is something that's an idea from you, please just show me the steps. And he just faithfully, boom, 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 showed me the steps. And that's where I just want to encourage all of you guys, is as we sit at the Lord's feet, things that he asks us to do that in one season might seem impossible. You're like, no, I cannot do that, Lord. And yet he's inviting us into something. Won't he give us the grace to do it? And that's something that I have had to learn over these many years of walking with him, is instead of giving him my fleshly response, is to really start moving in a quicker obedience, in love with him, realizing that he is such a kind father. He is not going to ask me to do something that is totally like out of my control and I cannot do this, Lord. But that really, when he invites us into something, that he will show us the steps that he wants us to take in faithfulness, in obedience, in our little yeses, so that the big yes can actually be accomplished. And